Welcome back to episode 5 of the Real Estate Den. We have Shay and Lauren here with us today. Let's get started. So we've got Shay here. Why don't we go ahead and start with you?
Sure, absolutely. So, just a little bit kind of about me so you guys know. So, I'm a realtor, a residential realtor in Chicago. The funky part is I actually live in Denver. So, I run my team in Chicago out of Denver. We've been around for about 11 years. I have a small team, so it's 2 other agents plus myself. We do about 75 million a year in transaction volume, about 175 transactions. And the way that we work is a little bit different than a lot of teams. So we assign 2 realtors to every transaction. So I work with every single client. And then there's a realtor that's boots on the ground in Chicago that works with them as well. So the boots on the ground agent, either David or Lauren from my team, they handle all of the showings, inspections, final walkthroughs, listing appointments, photography, all that stuff. I work from Denver. I handle all of the price analysis, contract negotiations, lead generation, all that kind of stuff. So that's a little bit about me. So yeah, Lauren, do you want to tell a little bit about you?
Yeah, so I'm in the Columbus, Ohio market. Also own a team. We run ours pretty traditionally. There's 5 agents and 2 supporting staff that run all of our transaction coordination behind the scenes. We have been around as a team since 2019. We actually do anywhere from 30 to 40 million a year in transactions. Averages to be about roughly 100 to 120 units, depending on the situation. So we're a little bit cheaper over here in Columbus than you seem to be in Chicago. But we are also mostly residential. We do dabble a little bit in commercial. My business partner actually started in commercial. And we also are pretty investor friendly, being investors ourselves. So
Beautiful.
Okay, so Shay, what did you do before real estate? And then tell me again what year you got into business.
So I'm old. I'm in my mid 40s. So I feel like I've
Oh, stop.
many careers before real estate. So I mean, I've done lots of things. I worked for PricewaterhouseCoopers. I worked for Planned Parenthood for a little while. I owned an art business for kids for about 10 years that I sold to foreign investors. I owned a newsletter company for about 8 years that I sold to foreign investors as well, before I got into real estate. So I had essentially kind of retired when I got into real estate. My ex-husband, we were married at the time and we moved to Chicago because he took a job with the National Association of Realtors. And so I had sold my business where we were living in the Twin Cities, moved to Chicago, and I was like, I'm just going to retire at like mid 30s and I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. I'm just going to kind of hang out. And if you guys remember when Pinterest was big for like doing all sorts of Pinterest crafts and they were terrible. And I remember one day my ex-husband comes home and I had made a giant H for our front door out of yarn and the yarn was like falling off and he looked at me and he was like, Shay, like you're in your pajamas. I don't think you've showered or brushed your teeth in like 5 days. You're making H yarns for our front door. Like, please go get a job and do something. And he was like, I don't care what you do, just something where you shower and like leave the house and aren't making Pinterest projects. And he was in real estate at the association level, and I had seen him be a realtor for a long time. So I was essentially like, okay, well, maybe I'll get my real estate license. Maybe I'll try it and like it. And originally I thought I was just going to do it part time. And this was like 2012. And so I ended up getting my license and loving it. But it was tough because we had just moved to Chicago. We'd been there like 6 months. I know it was a person. I had no sphere. I couldn't get to Target without crying because I'm from Alaska and we don't have 6-way intersections with tons of traffic. So it was like definitely a big change to then like jump into real estate where I knew nobody, I knew nothing, I didn't know the city, all of that kind of stuff. So I was very poor my first year. I did one deal for $131,000. I think my check was like, because I was a 50% split, I think my check was like $2,500 or something like that. So I was like negative for the year in expenses, but I really focused on systems and kind of putting systems into place. And so by my second year, I had done 3 million, my third year, 7 million, my fourth year, 15 million. And then it just kind of went up from there. But man, that first year as a new agent is brutal. So I don't know what your experience was like, Lauren. Maybe you did way better than me the first year.
I did a little bit better than that, but again, I set myself up for, kind of just coming out of the gate hot. I mean, I started a Facebook group, Facebook page, Instagram, everything, and started marketing myself as, hey, I'm having a career change as I was getting my license. So as soon as I was licensed, I had like 6 or 7 in contract in the first 2 months.
That's a
But
lot.
that
is
was the
a lot.
problem. I had no idea what I was doing because they teach you how to pass the test in the classes, but they don't teach you how to sell a house. So thankfully, I joined a brokerage that had a productivity coach who I literally still to this day tell him, I was like, I would not be where I am if it was not for you. Cause I'm like calling him at like 11 p.m. This is 2017. I'm calling him at like 11 p.m. and I'm like, I have no idea what this means. Like I was licensed 30 days ago. Like you don't know. And there's so many different things that happen in a contract. Even now I'm learning each time, something different can pop up. But I have a degree in law enforcement administration. So I took a very hard left in life. I worked for the state of Ohio for about 6 years, and I had a major back surgery in 2015, and I was home and I was alone for 8 weeks. And I was like, I'm already dreading going back to this job. Like, what am I doing with my life? I'm 25 or 6 years old. I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to do this for another 24 years. So I fast forward a little bit, had a little bit of wine and got on Craigslist and saw that Keller Williams was hiring and decided that as soon as I graduated with my degree, I was going to take a leap of faith, if you will. And so that's how I got registered I graduated from college on January 7th, started my classes on January 8th, and here we are. And that was 2017.
So we're coming up on your anniversary.
Yeah, 7 years. It'll be 7 years in January. Well, I got licensed in March, but it'll be 7 years since I started the classes in January. Yeah.
It's interesting you say about the productivity coach, because I feel like as a new agent, you don't necessarily know what you need from a brokerage when you're trying to find a brokerage. And I feel like you're just happy that any brokerage wants you, and you don't realize that like you're really interviewing the brokerages, and that like what you need is what you just talked about. Like you need a productivity coach, you need training, because you come out of those classes knowing nothing practical. I don't think I've used any of the information in the classes ever, but what you need to know is like how to write a contract, how do you do a business plan, how do you get clients, all of that kind of stuff. So I feel like picking that first brokerage and like picking one that's big enough to have good training. People like a productivity coach like Keller Williams has, like I was really looking for a brokerage that had a lot of agents that didn't want to host their own open houses so that I could do their open houses. And you don't get that from a small brokerage, so I feel like it's really hard because you take the classes, but then you don't necessarily ever get any guidance on picking a brokerage. And that can really make it or break it for you your first year. Like you said, you wouldn't be where you were without that productivity coach.
100%. And I wholeheartedly, like I said, believe that I would not be where I am today without that man. However, I also think with building your own brand, to have a big name on the sign in the front yard is definitely helpful as well. I mean, having one of the big players, like you said, to utilize open houses, to have, some sort of credibility in the market with or without you attached to it is huge when you're in the beginning. Because I mean, so many of us, we get licensed and that's it. I mean, it's kind of, you're on your own, fend for yourself. So, whether it's a mentor or classes, and I mean, there's so much free stuff now on YouTube that you can, kind of just follow some of these bigger agents who give out the content. But I mean, just having that credibility to back you and that support is huge.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, Lauren, about your Facebook group. You said you started a Facebook group in real estate school. I feel like every agent talks about starting a Facebook group, but then they like kind of don't really like how did you start it? What did you like? What name did you choose?
What is it about?
Yeah, how did you engage?
So basically, when I first started out, what I did was just invite everybody who already knew, liked, and trust me. At the time I got licensed, like I said, I think it was 25 or 26. And I knew that I was one of the only people in my sphere who was already a homeowner. So I invited all of my sphere and their friends and things like that into this new world. And that was, and still has been, still 7 years later, my biggest lead source is just educating the people who already know, like, and trust me, and continuing to love on them and support them.
So
And
you
it's
set
just
your sphere into a Facebook page.
basically,
Into its own group, which is brilliant because everybody's definitely seeing your stuff. Versus
Mhm.
if you're just posting on your friends, it kind of depends on other things. So okay, so I guess I thought you were doing like a moving to Columbus group or something, but no, you did your sphere.
Mhm. Yeah, and we've evolved it over the years. The one that we currently run is it's LKW Home Team VIPs. So it's everyone who has bought with us, referred us, supports our brand and things like that. But what we do now in that Facebook group is we offer hey, make sure that you have enough homeowners insurance on your house. Make sure that you are watching, maybe your house is appreciated so much that you can drop now your PMI and save a couple $100s a month. We do a lot of business to business. So we have a lot of discounts for gutter companies and roofers and auto detailers, and just basically adding value, whether it's real estate or not, keeps us top of mind because we're not continuously saying, hey, do you know anyone looking to buy or sell? But we're saying, hey, it's spring. Make sure you're getting your HVAC tuned up. Here's 10% off. Here's the code for 10% off for our HVAC company. And just continuously touching them and adding as much value as we can. And with that, we do a lot outside of the Facebook group too. I mean, we see people get married, people have babies, everyone is getting a bottle of champagne or a onesie for those types of things. We sent out a big mass Google form for letters from Santa, and we had people having us write letters from Santa to their dogs and their spouses and their aunts or their nieces and nephews. And I mean, and then they post it on social media, right? And then you get that like know, like, and trust factor of now you're in their networks, in their audience. And I mean, it's just so much easier than buying internet leads and chasing them down.
I totally agree. Do you guys send that same content out from your Facebook group, like push it out through your CRM to your sphere via email as well, or is it only in your Facebook group?
Yep. So we do a weekly newsletter. It's not all the same content, but it's the same database. So it's a lot of the same people get both versions. And then, like every time I post on my personal page, Facebook, I'll tag everybody on the team. So then it also goes to their pages. With permission, we'll tag our clients in different things, just so we're hitting their networks as well, because we know most of our clients, we're about 75% referral based. And then with Instagram, I do have a personal page and a business page. I've never seen any sort of difference on what makes the most sense or what matters or what doesn't with a personal and a business page. But I mean, it's just another way to continuously share and comment and tag and collaborate with everyone we possibly can.
I know I heard a lot of similar things, but that I've heard because I've taken Shay's class before. So, will you tell us a little bit about how you keep in touch with your past clients? Because thoughtfulness seems to be the consistency between both of you. You both pay attention to those big life events. You both know what's going on in your past, clients' lives.
Yeah, it was interesting because you said onesies and I was like, oh, we do the same thing. And then letters from Santa, I was like, we do the same thing. So yeah, I think that those touch points are incredibly important. We have, it sounds like you do as well, a whole gift program for what I call milestone moments in people's lives, because that's oftentimes when their housing needs are going to change. So we are always looking out for, are they getting married? Are they getting, engaged? Are they having a baby? Are they having a new job change, a divorce, a death in the family, those kinds of things? We want to be front and center for those. And so we have a very particular gift program. So if I notice one of those milestones on Facebook or Instagram or something, I'll take a screenshot of it and send it to one of our assistants. So we have 4 different part-time assistants, and one of them just runs our gift program. So like if they're having a baby, like we send the baby onesie. If they've had a death in the family, we send wind chimes. If they have a new job, we send chocolate covered strawberries from Sherry's Berries. So we have very particular gifts for each of those milestones. And then we also do a lot of gifts during the transaction as well. So, when we do their first buyer or seller intake call over Zoom, when we're meeting them for the first time, we send them the chocolate covered strawberries from Sherry's Berries the day afterward to say, thank you. It was so great to meet you. We really look forward to working with you. Once they pass inspection, We send them 2 wine glasses from Tiffany's in the blue box, to say congratulations. And what we have found is we always have gifts sent to their office rather than their house if they're back in an office. That way all of their colleagues can see the gifts that their realtor is sending them, because that gets us additional clients as well. We have our closing gift is an automatic email through our CRM where they get to pick their closing gift. So they get their choice of a handyman to come over for 4 hours, or a cleaning person to come for 4 hours. We'll do a gift card to their favorite store. We'll do a photo shoot in their house, or we'll throw them a housewarming party and we provide the food, they provide the booze. So that goes out automatically 3 weeks beforehand so they can pick that. And then we do what's called Meal for the Move. On their moving day, we drop off 2 pizzas and soda for them, so we have very kind of systematic gift programs, and in addition, like your event, we do the letters from Santa, we do a pie event, we usually do a mani-pedi event at some point during the year, we do a hair blowout for Valentine's Day, we do photo shoots, we rent out movie theaters, so we typically have 4 to 5 events during the year. And then we do a lot of pop buys and pop ins where we will, be at 4 different ice cream places over the course of a weekend, and our clients can come by and we'll buy ice cream for all of them and their friends and their family. So with all of our events that we do, we always have sponsors for every event. So we have 2 sponsors, usually a lender and somebody else, to keep our costs down. And then we always, for all of our events, have them invite their family and friends, so that they're not having to come to an event themselves. I think it sucks, especially if you're a single person, go to an event by yourself. We don't know anybody. It's a lot more fun to bring friends with you or bring family with you. And then that's good lead generation for us because we're getting to know their family and friends, so, kind of like you do, Lauren, I think that those touch points of the events and the gifts, are very important to keep that relationship going, because the stat shows that on average, people are not planning to buy or sell a home again for 13 to 15 years. So if you're not staying in contact with them for 15 years, you're not going to be there when they're ready to buy or sell. So I'd love to hear, Lauren, about kind of what other stuff you guys do.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do a lot of fall family photo shoots. We've done wreath making parties. We have had Easter egg hunts in our front yard where we invite everyone. Our oldest son's birthday is October 23rd. So we're a pretty big Halloween family. So we've invited everybody, we have a really good neighborhood with a lot of kids anyways, but just invited everyone over, be a part of our trick or treat at our home. We've done, oh gosh, what are some other things? Home ornaments. So like this year for Christmas, everybody who purchased a home this year got, it says our first home or my first investment property or my first house hack or whatever with the address on there. We do a lot of swag, like our onesies that we give, say LKW Home Team, agent in training, I've got the perfect crib for you or something like that. So it's all very branded. It's all very niched to our clients. So we're LGBTQ and we do a huge pride event where we have a lender sponsored with us. We do a lot of, just rainbow flag swag and things like that. So we're very much so just concentrated on who our ideal clients are, what's important to them, and focusing on providing as much value within that scope that we can.
So I have a quick or a different sort of question. I hear a lot of like, you guys are top producers and both of you definitely know that, but I hear a lot of when you guys are going from, as you were growing, there have been like, I find a lot of agents are like sort of stuck at their production and they feel like they can't keep like gaining, that they're sort of just that. What was that like production level for you? And what did you do to kind of break out of that ceiling or that sort of, do you know what I'm saying? The question was so eloquent in my head, and then as it came out of my mouth, it got a little weird there. But
yeah, so I think the biggest, the way that I wouldn't say exploded because it was gradual until it wasn't.
right.
Jen, my partner, she was my competition. I literally took one of our clients. Well, back before we were a team, I took a friend out for drinks on a Friday night and I was like, hey, you should really buy, here's why, yada, yada, yada. And she had that same person in contract by Sunday. And so Monday morning we're in the office and I'm like, what the hell? Like follow up, blah, 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 whatever. So I think the biggest thing that I did for my business and our team and our success is partner with her, because it was kind of one of those, if you can't beat them, join them type things. And we knew a lot of the same people. And I was noticing too, because it took us about, I want to say a little over a year, because we didn't even know if we liked each other. And now we're engaged. Weird, I know. But there was a lot of just trying things out, because we realized that there were a lot of people who didn't want to choose her or I and hurt the other one's feelings. So they were just going with a third party altogether. And so that's where we were like, we're not only losing business, but we're losing, opportunity to continue to grow. So partnering there was the best. I would say when I was an individual agent, the best thing I did to kind of explode my personal business was I held a first time home buyer seminar. And the way that I targeted my advertising was to my sphere and their sphere. That was it. So it was every single person who came in that room knew me from 2 degrees of separation. They had a friend that knew me. They had a colleague that knew me. They had someone in their life who they already knew, like, and trust was in my life. So out of, I think it was like $100 in ad spend at the time, I had 52 people register for this first time home buyer seminar. I had donuts and orange juice and, the whole 9 yards with the lender and the title company and the inspector. But this was 2018. And out of 52 people who registered, there were over 40 that showed up. And I believe I closed 27 of them at some point between then and now.
Wow.
But out of those 27, again, because they are part of my sphere and they're friends with my other clients, they continuously refer me over and over. So that was definitely my personal best idea that I had to execute. And it's paid off even 7 years later.
That's
Awesome.
awesome. Yeah. I think that agents tend to focus on kind of the shiny new objects instead of getting back to the basics oftentimes. And I think people listen to a lot of gurus who are like, or real estate coaches who are like, you should be working expireds, you should be buying leads, you should be cold calling, you should be working for sale by owners, you should be door knocking. And that crap doesn't work for most people. If you don't like doing those things, you are not going to be good at them, and you're not going to do them regularly, and it's a waste of time. So I think part of the reason that we have been really successful is that we have recognized how do we like to get clients and how are we good at getting clients, and we have focused on those. So, we don't door knock expireds, for sale by owners. We've never bought a lead. We won't ever buy a lead. We really focus on our sphere, because most top agents around the country, 80 to 90% of their business comes from your sphere. And it's much easier to get clients from your sphere than it is to convert cold clients online. So, I would say look at where your clients are coming from, track that data, and then double down on what you're doing to bring those clients in. And in particular, I think most agents do a really bad job of following up with their clients after the transaction ends. And so, they leave a lot of money on the table, because if you survey buyers and sellers who are not first-time home buyers, I think the statistic is like 80% of them would have used their agent again when they bought or sold in the future, but they don't remember that agent's name. And that's because we don't do as good of a job staying in contact with them after the transaction ends. So a couple of the things that we do besides the events and the pop buys and, the client gifts and stuff like that is we have a 15-year follow-up program with clients through our CRM, where they're hearing from us every single month with kind of the same things Lauren is sending out. Here's home maintenance reminders you should be doing right now to keep your house in good, saving tips, all of those kinds of things. Don't send them recipes that they can Google online. Nobody wants that from their realtor. They want information about their house, and particularly how they should be maintaining it, because a lot of people don't know that. So I would say, look at, do you have a really robust follow-up program for 15 years? Do you have those people in a CRM? Because to me, an Excel spreadsheet is not a CRM, right? You should have them in a CRM where that content's going out automatically and you shouldn't have to push it. Are you doing a newsletter like Lauren is doing? I love her Facebook group idea, especially for discounts. I think that's great. Are you doing gifts? Are you doing events? Are you doing pop buys? Are you doing pop-ins? Like, to me, those are the things that bring in the most money. So if you're not doing all of those things, you're going to plateau. And so you need to figure out which of those things you aren't doing, or is there something else you're doing that's really working for you, and then double down on that. We have a networking group that I formed that we get a lot of business from, particularly from divorce attorneys in that networking group. So look at where are your referrals coming from, and can you beef those up? In my opinion, your lender should be giving you referrals. If you're referring people out, they should be giving referrals to you. So, create relationships with really good lenders, financial planners, divorce attorneys, hairdressers are a great referral source. Personal trainers are a great referral source, right? So really look at your whole program and figure out where are the holes and start to fill those holes in, to me is how you get over that hump into the next level.
Oh
And
my
Shay,
God.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
You said when you got your license, you didn't know anyone. How did you build your sphere? And what
My mind.
CRM do you use?
Yeah. So I really built my sphere with open houses. I did 4 open houses a weekend. So I would do 2 on Saturday and 2 on Sunday. So 11 to 1 and 2 to 4. And I'm very good at converting people at open houses because of 2 things, right? One, I'm not the creepy weird person when they come in the door that like follows them around the house.
Like the
I always
car salesman in the
Totally.
parking lot.
Totally. Nobody wants that, right? Like that's weird. And so I say to them when they come in, like, I'm not going to be the creepy realtor that follows you around the house. Like, go take a look around. I'm going to be at the front door and I'll answer questions when you leave. So I think that helps build trust with them very quickly. And then I always have them sign out rather than sign in, because I think if you haven't been creepy and weird, they're more likely to give you their real address, right? Like, and I have them do it on a tablet because then I can read it. Otherwise, you can't read it. And I feel like if you give people paper and pen, they think about it and they're not going to give you their real email address. Where we're so used to typing our email address in 50 times a day that when somebody gives us a tablet, we just type our email address and we don't think about it. So I got accurate information. And then I just pretend they're my new best friend, whether they know it or not. And I set them up on an MLS feed. And I'm like, great, you marked this house as interested. Do you want to go see it on Tuesday? And I just kind of don't take no for an answer. I mean, if they say no, I take them off my campaign, but like, they're just, yeah, my new best friend. And they don't quite know it yet.
Right? Unless they otherwise say no, like.
Right. Keep doing it. Yeah. And then we also have a 2-year follow-up campaign for anybody we meet at an open house where they hear from us every month about ways to increase their credit score. How much money do they need for a down payment? Can they cancel the contract after they go under contract? How much is earnest money? Like all those first-time homebuyer questions. So I've never met anybody at an open house that was like, oh my gosh, Shay, you were awesome. I totally want to work with you. Like, that's not how it works, right? It's me following up with them regularly. And then usually months later, they're like, hey, I'm ready to buy now. Can you help me? But I think you have to have that robust follow-up system for open houses to work.
Lauren, are you from Columbus, Ohio originally?
I grew up closer to Cleveland, but yes, I'm from Ohio originally.
Okay.
But to add on to, building a sphere, there's a lot of different things that you can do to lead generate. Like if you, like, for example, if I'm in Columbus and I'm a new agent and I know nobody, right? Say I had to start all over again with no database. I would join Columbus Moms group because I'm a mom. I would join a Columbus Jeeps group because I own a Jeep Wrangler. I would join basketball leagues because I love basketball, soccer, softball. I would join everything that I can to find people who have like interests, because whether or not they're going to be your friend down the line, they're going to have something in common with you being part of those different groups that it's automatically going to imply some sort of trust, right? If I'm having conversations with someone and I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old. Do you want to go grab coffee or have a play date or anything like that? Their guard is immediately down because I'm a human to them who has similar interests. I'm not a realtor who's trying to sell them anything.
Yeah, I totally agree
Amazing.
with that. And I think Facebook groups, we close about 15 million in business a year from Facebook groups. So I think that's a great way to go. I think the key also to the Facebook groups is getting your clients to join the groups that you're in, so that when somebody asks for a realtor recommendation, it's not you recommending yourself, because 30 other realtors are going to come on recommending themselves. So whenever I see somebody asking for a realtor recommendation, I go to the friend list and I see which of my friends and clients are in that Facebook group, and I'll screenshot the request. I'll text it to my friends and clients in that group, and I'll be like, hey, in the Westtown Moms group, somebody just asked for a realtor. Would you go on and recommend me? I'd really appreciate it. And then I'll have like 8 or 10 clients that go on and recommend me, and I kind of sit back and watch, and then once they've all chimed in, I'm like, oh my gosh, guys, thank you so much. That was so kind of you. And I'm like texting them on the side being like, hey, you want to get together for brunch when I'm in town? And I find that works really well because it's a popularity contest. They go with the person that has the most recommendations. and everybody else is recommending themselves, or like one client recommends them. So I would say find those Facebook groups, like Lauren was saying, for things that you're interested in, and then see if any of your clients have those same interests and get them in those groups. And if those groups don't exist, start them, particularly for neighborhoods you want to work. Like there's a Southport Corridor Moms group in Chicago that was started by a realtor, and it's like a 5 block by 5 block radius. It's not very big, but it's some of the most expensive real estate in Chicago. And she cleans up because she started that group. So if a group doesn't exist in an area you want it to be, start one, and send out postcard mailings to everybody in that neighborhood, knowing, saying you've started this Facebook group, and get people in it. I think that's a great way to grow your business.
Well, I think too, you can utilize it even more specifically to your neighborhood, right? I mean, you can put, if there isn't already a neighborhood group, you can put a neighborhood group together and then do things like, we've done, like I said, Easter egg hunt at our house, trick or treat, huge. I mean, we've done DJs and drinks and everything for trick or treat. Who does that? But it's memorable. It's memorable to them. And they're like, oh my gosh, like this is awesome. But then beyond that, like you can do like $100 giveaway for the best Christmas lights, right? Well, now you're making your neighborhood more beautiful during the season because people are wanting to get into this giveaway, or whatever, because that was a competition. I mean, there's just so many things that you can do that isn't just a postcard in their mailbox every single month. Now, the postcard in the mailbox, sure, keeps you top of mind, make sure that they see you every month, but I mean, most of the people, at least in Ohio, I think, a postcard like that is going to be in the trash before it even makes it in the house, so if nothing else, it's brand awareness, but you have to show up over and over and over, and it takes time. I mean, we've been in our current neighborhood now for around 3 years, and this is one of Jen's farming neighborhoods, so she does do a postcard, but we do so much for the community as well, and I think we've sold at least like 1.5 million in here, which for us, I mean, it's 3 houses, our price point's pretty low in Ohio. But to get 3 houses under contract in 3 years from just showing up for our neighbors, I mean, I'm fine with that,
And you guys both do such excellent, like when you have excellent systems, I think that just help, like you spending the time on working your business to do it excellently. Like what agent sends Tiffany cups to your work? You know what I mean? Like who invites you to your house to look at to search for eggs with your kids? Like that's just above and beyond. And I think a lot of agents are just kind of nervous to like connect with their clients, like connect with these people. Like they obviously take you seriously in some regard and they like you, or they wouldn't be trusting you with this. I always like to ask what morning routines look like, because sometimes they're really robust, sometimes they're not. Yeah, what do you have anything that you do to get ready for the day? Do you have a certain time you wake up? Does it sort of vary for the day? I know, like, since I became a mom, my morning routine is not like it was before I was a mom full show, because yeah, every time I think she's gonna sleep, she doesn't. So yeah, tell me about your morning, Shay.
I love how Lauren and I both like kind of started quietly laughing when you asked us that question. We were both like, oh crap. Well, speaking for myself, I do not have any sort of morning routine. I have a 7-year-old and I'm a single full-time mom. So usually I'm woken up by getting kicked in the head or the back or something like that at some point, because he likes to sleep with me. So then it's, getting him off to school. It's a 45-minute drive for me to get him to his school. He goes to a private school pretty far away. So yeah, so my morning routine is all about being a mom and getting my kid to school. And then honestly, after that, I go to the gym for like 2 hours, which is why I'm currently in my gym clothes. So I go and I work out for like 2 hours. I take a shower, I do the sauna, and then I'll sit down and I work. I mean, my work day, and gym time is 8 to 3 while he's in school. I try not to work nights. I try not to work weekends, and that's the nice thing about being the one kind of responsible for like the computer stuff and things like that. I don't have to do the showings and and things that require nighttime work anymore. So realistically, I probably work about 4 hours a day. Most of my time is spent answering text messages from clients. We're big texters. I rarely talk on the phone with my clients. They know that, if I call, somebody's died or we're negotiating an offer. Like, otherwise, I do not call my clients. So I literally have no morning routine whatsoever. I don't have any sort of daily routine. I don't time block. I don't, prospect for 3 hours a day. Like, I do a really good job of staying in contact with my clients. I text every single active client and client that just closed on Monday and on Friday while I walk my dog and check in with them to see how things are going. We have crazy systems through our CRM where clients are hearing from us every single day about what comes next in the transaction. So we've automated most of our work and most of our communication with our clients so that as a team, we don't have to work that much. We have 4 part-time assistants. They each work like 10 to 15 hours a week. So we have about 50 hours of admin work a week to support 175 transactions. So we run really, really lean. And yeah, I don't think any of us have a morning routine. So I am not that good of a person at answering that question. So maybe Lauren, you have more of a routine than I do.
I like to see all the answers because it's surprising that there's like a morning routine push out there that people, because it's about 50-50 in my opinion, but that I see so far in my very expert opinion and, morning routine asking.
So
Like, you should make your bed, right? I'm like, who makes
yeah,
their bed? Like, I'm just going to get back into it at the end of the night.
no,
That's inefficient.
Exactly.
Yeah.
all right. Our bed is made daily, but that's okay.
Okay.
The only thing routine about my morning is my alarm goes off every day at 6.
Okay.
Whether I actually get up at 6 or if I shut it off a couple of times, it's kind of roulette at that point. Obviously, unless I have an appointment, but I don't have anything routine because there's times where I'm in bed watching TV at 10 p.m. and there's times that I'm up doing more work at passion work at 2 a.m. So I'm not going to force myself. Like, if I need to rest, I need to rest. I'm not going to force myself to be this, machine that's like up at 4 a.m. at the gym. I don't even go to the gym, honestly. I mean, it just kind of is what it is. But I'm in the season again. I mean, we co-parent, so we don't have our boys all the time. But when they're here, it's chaos. I mean, they're 2 young boys and we have 2 dogs. And I mean, it's a lot to go on. And I'm not going to hold a regimen and like, I have to be doing this at a certain time. Now, if I have a Zoom call I need to be on or a phone call or anything like that, sure. Like, those things we have multiple different offices in our house, and do need to be, taken care of in that moment. But I'm very jealous of you, Shay, for having all of these boots on the ground, because I'm like, I'm the one at 2 a.m. doing that right now. What am I doing wrong? But we've tried assistants, and that's another thing I wanted to touch on is, we've had, I think, 3 different assistants over the last 4 years, and take your time hiring and fire quickly if it doesn't work out, because our last one we had to let go last December and it's been a year of no assistant. And we did that purposely because we wanted to rebuild, our SOPs and things like that and make sure that, the next person we hire is a diligent hire and not oh my gosh, let's just put somebody in the role. But at the same point, I mean, it's given us an opportunity to kind of cut the fat of a lot of things, and make it leaner. But yeah, I'm very jealous of your 4-hour workday and your 2 hours in the gym.
I think the assistant thing is hard, right? Like, I had full-time assistants for a while and it never worked out. And so we ended up switching to 4 part-time assistants, and that's worked much better for us because then people can specialize in the things that they're good at and that they like doing. So all of my assistants are I don't want to say virtual because I know them all. They're in the United States. It's not like, I have a virtual assistant in the Philippines, but they don't come in and work in the office. They all work from home. One of them lives in North Carolina. One of them lives in, I don't know, somewhere in the middle of the country. I can never remember where she lives, Kentucky, Ohio, Indiana, somewhere. Mid-America somewhere. And I trust them all to do their jobs, but it's very specialized, right? Like, one is just our TC. She just does the TC stuff. One of them just does our marketing and our events and our gifts. That's all she does. One of them is more of an assistant and sets up inspections. One of them is a runner. So she's the only person that's local, and she'll drop off gifts and open house signs and flyers and that kind of stuff, right? But I found having people who are just do the things that they're good at worked much better for us. And all of my assistants are part-time and they're moms. So they work while their kids are in school for a few hours a day. They don't need a full-time job. They don't need benefits. This is kind of extra fun money. And so to me, they stay longer because it works for their lifestyle. They have unlimited vacation and go whenever they want, so I think my least assistant has been there, not least, but like least length of time, like 5 years. Like I don't have the turnover that I used to have when I had a full-time person, because I think that's hard. They leave because they want another job that makes more money with better benefits, and this way with the part-time assistants, everybody can cover when somebody else is sick or has a death or on vacation. And so it just works out really, really well for us. So, for me, I'll never go back to one full-time assistant. It just was not a model that worked for me for my business.
Those are I didn't even think about that, but so true. Like you've got someone full time, you're competing with all the other jobs versus, and I think someone in that situation who, like, mom working, like you, especially becoming a mom myself, like I love work now in a different way now that I've become a mom, so like doing something, like I love to care for my babies, of course, but like doing something else, really, yeah, it's just a different game now. What do you wish you had started doing sooner?
Yikes.
Stumped everyone with this one.
That's a tough one. What do I?
Yeah.
Or what do you wish you had stopped doing sooner?
I think for me, the thing I wish I would have not done at all, let's just start there.
Perfect.
When I first got licensed, I'm naturally an introvert, and I didn't want to sell myself, right? So how many opportunities did I lose by not just talking about real estate? I mean, now every time I go to lunch, whether I'm alone or with a group, I sit at the bar, I'm striking up conversation. I'm having, talking to the bartender, talking to the waitresses, talking to people around us. And every time we hear anybody say real estate, we walk up hard. I think that was my biggest, like, to look back, how many opportunities I missed by not showing up authentically as who I am and what I do. And I think it doesn't have to be, I realize now, it doesn't have to be forced, right? It doesn't have to be, hi, I'm Lauren, I'm in real estate. It can be, hey, Megan, I'm Lauren, nice to meet you. What do you do for a living? And it's organically going to turn into, what do you do for a living? Boom. Now we're talking about real estate, so just being too timid, too shy, thinking you're not enough, thinking that no one wants to hear from you. I mean, that's just, yeah, you're going to get rejected a lot. You're going to get a lot of no's. Welcome to the business.
Right.
You better start looking at early,
Yeah.
I think for me, I listened to everybody else that was like, you should do all of these different things. And one of them, in the beginning was farming with postcards in a specific neighborhood, and that's just not my personality. And in my market, it doesn't work very well in Chicago. And so I spent a ton of money farming, and I think I got one transaction, if even that, out of it. So I think you have to just be very honest with yourself about, one, when you're a new agent, do you have the money to do these things? Because there's so much free stuff out there that you can do, like the Facebook groups and stuff like that. Don't spend money on things you don't have the money to spend, because you're just going to stress yourself out. And as a new agent, I always heard the stat that it takes 3 years for you to start to make decent money in this business. And of course, like everybody else, I was like, no way, I'm going to make, way more money than that. And it was totally true. It took me 3 years, so I think you have to prepare for those first 3 years for you not to make much money, and have a plan for how you're going to be able to still pay your bills and stay motivated. And you need to keep your expenses as low as possible and not waste them on stupid stuff like farming, like I did. In other markets, that might work really well. In my market, not so much, so don't do something just because some guru tells you to do it. You got to really think about if this is going to work for me and if I have the money to pay for this.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many free opportunities. Social media is so underutilized in our industry. I mean, it's free. And, I think a lot of people are just so concerned with what other people are going to comment or say or do, or it's crazy to think about, they don't pay your bills. Who cares what they think, right? Who cares what they think? And, as much as my sphere has helped build my business, it's shocking how many of them sometimes I know they're watching, but they're not commenting and sharing and things like that all the time.
Mhm.
But there's a lot who don't know me who are. So it's really just putting yourself out there, adding value in everything you do, talking to your specific niche over and over. You can't talk to everybody. You're not gonna connect with anyone if you're trying to talk to everyone, right? So like for us, we have one avatar. Her name is Morgan. She lives downtown. She has a dog. She has a fiance. She's about to get married and move to the suburbs. So when we're doing social media, we're educating or empowering that avatar with everything we do. And if we don't think the message is going to get across to that one avatar, we don't post it. So I did it. You got to throw spaghetti against a wall and see what sticks to a certain extent. But there's so many free options. I agree with you 100%, Shay. Don't go out and buy Zillow leads or buy realtor.com leads, especially if you don't even have the systems and operations intact already to do that. And I want to take it back one step further is when you do get all these referrals and start to build the sphere, you have to knock their socks off. You have to be different. Because you can get 10 referrals, but if you don't knock their socks off and you don't, give them white glove service, they're not going to refer you again because they want to be Cupid. They want to be the hero in that first one. But if anything goes wrong, just as quickly, they're going to pull it back and be like, whoa, I don't want to look stupid to my friends. And that was a bad transaction. So I'm not going to refer them anymore. You know what I mean? Like, you've got to be prepared. And like I said, I was a juggling act for the first couple of months, and thank God I had support, because if I didn't, that could have been a fiery, chaotic mess really quickly. With the amount of contracts I had that I was so uncertain and unsure of myself with.
And I think you said something that's really key, Lauren. You said that, with your ideal client, you're looking to educate and empower. And I think that's the approach that we have to take as realtors, is how do we educate our clients to make good, informed decisions? Because I think a lot of realtors, it's just their ego. And they're like, look at me, how awesome am I driving this expensive car? Nobody gives a crap about you, right? Like, it's all about what can you do for the client? And so, every communication we send out, every post is exactly what you just said. It's about educating and empowering them. It's not about us, because nobody cares about us. It's about what can we do to help you. And so I think that's the approach that realtors really need to take, is this is about the client. This is not about the realtor. And, always have that in the back of your mind for all communication that you do.
Yeah, and I think too, you got to get really good at storytelling. Storytelling is going to be what resonates with people. If I post a picture and it says sold in big red letters, people are going to scroll right past it, right? So when I post a picture, there's no sold anywhere. It's a story about where I met the client, who they are, what they went through. I mean, obviously with permission, and I don't put names in there, but after looking for 9 months, they finally found their perfect home after writing 3 contracts and bad inspections, and they all fell apart. They were starting to get frustrated, but they realized that the reason was because this one was waiting for, you know what I mean? Like, telling the story and resonating with people. Nobody cares. Like you said, stick another sold sign in. Cool. Here's how many houses I sold. Cool. I'm driving a G-Class. Cool. You probably can't afford it. Let's see your P&L, But at the end of the day, showing up, giving value, making sure that that client knows that they are not just a paycheck to you, is how you're going to build a legacy career. I've got tons of people who, like I said, we tell them, hey, make sure you're dropping PMI. Every January we send out their Alta statement, their HUD from the closing. Hey, you're going to need this for taxes. Hey, your mortgage interest is completely tax deductible. Hey, here's a tax person. If you've been working off of TurboTax for the last couple of years, might want to change that now because you own a house. There's just so much that you can do, and it's so simple. It's stupid, but it's not easy, because you got to continuously be putting all of them before anything else.
And ignoring all the shiny red things, or shiny things that, Shay was talking about, because everybody can, I think the majority of why people get licensed and get out is because they think it's just a quick switch. Like, oh my God, as soon as I post that I'm in real estate, all of my friends are going to do it, because, these people post and then their friends call them, and they don't really it is completely different. Your engagement goes up when you post a story versus just a sold. And if someone's like, I don't know how to post on social media, it's better to post sold than nothing, right? Like, tell people you're in real estate posting solds, even if it's horrible, but always be growing and getting getting better. Awesome. This was a great conversation. I'm gonna have to listen to this a few times. I have like a bunch of notes and
I agree with that. Yeah.
Where can people find you and if they want to connect with you? Yeah, let us know. We'll start with Shay.
I mean, so the best way is our website. So it's buyselllovechicago.com. So we're the Buy Sell Love Chicago team. So there's tons of information on there. There's ways to contact us on there. So that's really the best way. Otherwise, you can also, follow me on Instagram or Facebook, Shay Hata. So yeah, but website is the easiest way to get a hold of us.
Perfect.
Yeah, our website is lkwhometeam.com. Same thing. It's a lot. You're not going to see any houses on there unless it's coming from our Instagram feed. It's all about us and who we are, being relationship driven. So, and then my Instagram is Life with LKW Home Team. You can follow me there, and I've got my link tree on multiple different ways to get a hold of me from there.
Awesome. Well,
Amazing.
Thank you, ladies, for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.
Thanks for having us.
Sounds good. Thank you.